Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
This obviously was a significant task and took a tremendous amount of effort to reach this point of the charges.
During this last 4 months, we see amazing initiatives all around the world, but this one is one of the brightest.
So the installation came from this idea of the green roof terrace that was previously installed, and the AWE thought it would be a good idea to replant it.
Thanks for joining us. We're learning more tonight from police about the latest charges in the Ambassador Bridge blockade. Windsor police revealed yesterday they were pressing charges against 2 people involved in the protest, which shut the border crossing down in February. And in this case, they're calling them leaders and organizers of the group. For more, Jacob Barker spoke with the police service's acting superintendent. So, Jacob, you're joining us now live in studio. What did you learn today about why they're labeling these 2 as leaders and organizers?
Well, Acting Superintendent Carl DeGraff does refer to leadership of the group as fragmented and fractured. But he did say they were able to identify Laframboise and De Credico as having been in a leadership role during the protest. To do that, they are relying on evidence from officers on the ground, as well as video and audio evidence gathered at the protest. They do say they are consulting with the Crown Attorney's Office as well along the way. In their release, the police say that the pair entered the intersection of Tecumseh Road West and Huron Church Road on February 9th and blocked traffic that was attempting to cross the bridge. For this, they have been charged with mischief. That protest lasted 7 days. Police removed protesters after a court-ordered injunction was put in place. And I asked DeGraff what about their actions made them organizers or leaders.
They were part of a coordinating movement, as well as, I guess, establishing rallying at specific points in an effort to block the bridge.
Jacob, do we know if there will be more charges laid?
So right now there are nearly 50 people charged for taking part in the blockade, and DeGraff says he doesn't anticipate any further charges. But he's also not ruling it out. He says if any new evidence does come forward, that could lead to more charges. I asked him about whether or not we are equipped to deal with a protest like this if it were to happen again in the future.
We've learned, obviously, a significant amount of lessons through this past protest. We have operational planning in place, as well as strong relationships with our provincial partners, and we are in a position to respond appropriately to an event or anything that would similarly occur within our city.
Wouldn't go on for 7 days.
I can't foresee that.
Yeah.
Again, as a police service, we are always looking to strive for a peaceful resolution.
Now, I did also ask DeGraff how important this investigation was to the police. He calls the event incredibly significant, affecting community members and businesses. He says the look to the event as something that will never happen again in the community, and that those who choose to protest should do so respectfully.
Thanks for this, Jacob. CBC's Jacob Barker live in studio for us tonight. Hockey Canada is facing another controversy. The organization is now dealing with a new sexual assault allegation. It apparently involves members of the 2003 Canadian World Junior Men's team. Halifax was hosting an international tournament at the time of the alleged assault. CBC's Hilary Johnstone has more on the story.
Hockey Canada says members of its 2003 men's World Junior Hockey team are accused of a group sexual assault. They say that they became aware of the allegation last night when a TSN reporter contacted the organization. Hockey Canada says that reporter had, quote, disturbing details about this alleged incident, alleged to have happened back in 2003 in Halifax. Hockey Canada says that it immediately contacted the Halifax Regional Police, and it is now encouraging anyone else with information to also contact the Halifax Regional Police. Now, we've heard from Halifax Police today confirming that they've been in touch with Hockey Canada, saying that they're taking this seriously, but not releasing any more details. We've also heard from the National Hockey League today, and in a statement, it said, quote, "We were made aware earlier today of the horrific allegations against members of the 2002-2003 Canadian National Junior Team. The National Hockey League will look into the allegations and will respond appropriately." Now, of course, Hockey Canada has been in the spotlight in recent months after another historic alleged sexual assault came to light in London, Ontario back in 2018 after a gala dinner. Hockey Canada has also been under fire just this week after some unearthed court documents showed that it had a fund that it maintained with the help of membership fees from across the country to pay for uninsured liabilities, including to settle sexual assault claims. We've heard from the Prime Minister on all of this several times this week, saying that a reckoning was needed at Hockey Canada as well. And of course, Hockey Canada has seen its federal funding paused or suspended, along with funding from corporate sponsors as well after that alleged 2008 assault came to light. The Prime Minister saying just recently as well that not only does Hockey Canada need to work to restore confidence so that the federal government feels confident in it, but also for parents, so that parents across the country who put their children into the sport, into hockey, that they feel confident in the governing body as well. Hilary Johnstone, CBC News, Ottawa.
An intense thunderstorm lit up the dark sky across Windsor last night. Let's watch that again. Big flashes there. People saying on social media that they saw some hydro equipment blow up. These shots here capturing a lightning strike. And the storm hit just after midnight, leaving many in the city without power for part of the night. And you can see the damage here in the Fontainebleau area. Enwin crews spent the night working to restore power. The hydro company saying they're noticing stronger storms happening more frequently.
But we are concerned about, I'll say the increasing frequency and intensity of storms. And I think most jurisdictions will say that that's what we're seeing all over the place. So we have done some things to, number one, automate our system so that we can bring, parts of the system that are not directly affected by the trees that touch the lines or whatever it might happen to be, so we can get power back up to people as quickly as possible.
A Ukrainian jewelry company has found an unlikely gem of a partner in our area. A donation to a recent charity auction in Leamington brought in a big bid to help aid the humanitarian effort in the war-torn country. This from a community that's been coming out big to send the help they can. Jacob Barker has that story.
This is a jewel that fetched a big price tag at a recent auction in Leamington.
There was a bidding war on it, and it was $11,600 that it finally sold for.
But it didn't stop there. That donation was matched once and then doubled again by an anonymous donor.
So that donation brought in $46,000.
Mandy Queering, who calls herself a stay-at-home mom and philanthropist, put together the auction on a dare. She had already helped raise $800,000 worth of goods to assist in Ukraine through a donation drive. Labortes is the jewelry maker based in Kyiv, which designed the pendant specifically for the auction this month.
I already have first experience with an auction in Leamington. I would already can say that they are absolutely amazing and crazy.
They say their unexpected partnership with people here in Leamington means a lot, especially as war rages on around them.
We still see our jewelers working during the war, actually, They still can hear the shots and every morning bad news, but they still go to factory and they still produce.
They are so impressed with the donation that they will be giving 2 more pieces that will be auctioned off by the Gleaners, a Leamington-based group that has been helping in Ukraine by sending dry soup mix. Hopeful that the war will end, Labortes says their relationship with the local community will not.
Of course, everything was made to fundraise and to help Ukrainians, but all these connections they will never die.
Though we've never met, you have two like-minded souls on the opposite ends of the earth trying to do some good.
Through all these efforts, Queering says that more than $1 million in cash and donations have come from the Leamington-Kingsville area for Ukraine. And with another auction on the way, there's more to come. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Leamington.
Russia and Ukraine have signed a deal that could allow grain to flow from a number of Black Sea ports in Ukraine. It could prevent famine in parts of the world and slow the increases in the cost of food. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says allies will keep a close eye on Russia.
Canada's confidence in Russia's reliability is pretty much nil. The G7 is working closely with partners like Turkey and others to ensure that we can get that grain out of Ukraine and to places around the world where it's needed without putting at risk Ukraine's sovereignty and protection.
The deal will also allow Russia to ship more of its grain and fertilizer. That's in spite of sanctions. The UN and Turkey brokered the agreement. The head of the UN is calling it a beacon of hope on the Black Sea. Pope Francis arrives in Canada tomorrow, and survivors hope he'll apologize for his church's role in abuses suffered at residential schools. First Nations, Métis, and Inuit leaders explain what the visit and apology could mean for reconciliation.
In order for the healing to start, we need to receive the apology.
A lot of the survivors also tell me they're angry still, and they don't believe an apology would do anything. We need Canada to fully implement the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action.
Action number 58 is a call for the Pope to go to Canada and to issue an apology.
My father and I were both abused by a priest, sexually abused by a priest. And the impact, that's how we relate with our own children and within our own family and community. We need to ensure that proper parenting programs are in place, proper healing process are in place. I strongly believe that it will meet this call to action, number 58.
We still need swift support for the First Nations conducting those investigations into the former residential schools, along with the apology and the records, and all of our items and our artifacts should be returned. They took away our important spiritual items and artifacts and things that were part of our culture and our language and who we are as a people.
I personally believe that the apology is a step in the right direction.
We need those healing centers. We need those programs and resources.
Let's take a live look outside there. Another day, another heat warning. The hot and humid air continues. Remember to check on older family, friends, and neighbors, and make sure you're drinking lots of water if you can. We're going to have your weather forecast right after the break. Plus, later in the show, as you know, we're featuring 3 local artists this week. And tonight, we're going to meet Julie Hall. That's all coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Black Canadian Summit is being held in Halifax next weekend. It aims to bring together Black Canadians to share their experiences and spark inclusive dialogue. Our CBC cameras caught up with Jamaican-Canadian poet, artist, and author Afua Cooper, who will be delivering poetry and a lecture at this year's event.
This poem was written when George Floyd was murdered in 2020, and the poem is called "I Breathe My Breath Into Him." Mamie Till said she had an open casket for her child Emmett, the 14-year-old boy who was murdered in Mississippi by white men in 1955. She had an open casket because she wanted the world to see what they had done to her beautiful son. Emmett's face twisted, his body disfigured. My son is a sacrificial lamb. And along the way, there were so many like Emmett: Patrice Lumumba, Amilcar Cabral, Amadou Diallo, Sandra Bland, Junior Alexander Manon, Anthony Griffin, Fred Hampton. My name is Afua Cooper. I'm a scholar of Black Studies and Black History. I teach in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at Dalhousie University. I'm also a poet and a writer of children's stories, and a major project that I have embarked on, that I'm leading, is A Black People's History of Canada. I love poetry because poetry allows me to delve into the imagination. I can take a line and create a long poem. I'm inspired by my family. I'm inspired by growing up in Jamaica. I'm inspired by the varied history of the African diaspora. I'm inspired by slavery that, our African ancestors endured. I feel that they have given us the strength and this power to persevere, so we're here now today. I was asked by the organizers to do two events at the summit. The first one I'm doing is poetry. I'll be with two other poets on a poetry night. And the second event that I'm involved in is a panel on teaching Black Canadian history. So these two things are really my forte, and I'm really looking forward to doing them.
Victoria Alvarado joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Victoria, we had some rain overnight, but today, sunshine, hot weather continues. Talk us through this.
Yeah, it does continue. The heat's even building throughout the overnight too. Even by 10 p.m. in Windsor, it's still going to be 27 degrees. And that's how you know we have a hot and humid weekend in store. We do have some thunderstorms too that are on the way. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But first, let's talk about the heat. We do have some heat warnings in effect. Windsor, you're in that, and if you're anywhere in the GTA as well through Toronto, that's currently in effect too. That's most likely going to remain for the rest of the weekend, just because all of this humidity is making our conditions feel even hotter than what it is. You notice your lawn's also pretty dry. I know you were saying that it did rain last night, which is actually good news for our lawn care, and we do have some more rain on its way. You could see a passing shower even tonight for parts of Windsor, but it's this big cell here that's on the move for the rest of your weekend, and that's capable of producing some thunderstorm energy. You could hear a rumble of thunder, even see some lightning possible. Not necessarily for your Friday. This is mostly for the GTA, this thunderstorm threat, but as we head into Saturday, that's when the threat expands, and the monster cell is going to be starting to pass on this time. Windsor is in the severe possible for some thunderstorms, as well as Ottawa, Kingston, and Bancroft. So heavy rain, strong wind gusts, and large hail is possible. So here's the look at the timing on this. So Saturday, this is going to start making its way through. By Sunday morning, that's when the energy starts to expand even further towards the east, but Windsor still in that threat for your Sunday evening. So even through Sunday, we do have a possible thunderstorm risk, but it's the temperatures. 38 degrees is what it's going to feel like in Toronto. Windsor feeling like 39, and on Sunday feeling like 41. So take note of that. Drink extra water if you can. Meanwhile, your risk for Sunday still remains. So an active weather weekend. Stay tuned to your local forecast and just keep track on what you could see in your area for that time. But hopefully you enjoy the heat, because you're going to be seeing that for the rest of the weekend. weekend, and next week we do start to cool down. So a little bit of relief. Just depends on what you like, right?
Of us are looking forward to that relief. Thanks for that, Victoria.
Thank you.
Let's take a look now at local beach results. The health unit says Meadowwood Beach remains closed in Kingsville, and samples coming back that it has too much bacteria for swimming. That's according to the health unit. And they're warning people that Sandpoint Beach in Windsor has high levels of bacteria as well, but all other beaches are open and ready for you this weekend. And when we come back, we've been featuring local artists this week. And right after the break, you'll meet Julie Hall. Stay with us. Some good news at the gas pump going into the weekend. The price of gas is expected to drop 6 cents per liter as of midnight for most of southern Ontario.
If you're going to be filling up, if you can, wait until tomorrow, because I think that's the price will be $1.68.9. I often know and see gas stations, even in Toronto, the GTA, that drop it 3 or 4 cents below that by the evening. So if I were to want to fill up my little Ford Escape, my little 4-cylinder, I would want to do that sometime around 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. Saturday.
Tomorrow's drop is in addition to a 4-cent decrease we saw today. Still high compared to this time last year, but drivers haven't seen prices this low since mid-April. After months of increases, prices have been on a downward trend since June, when they peaked at $2.15 per liter. Depends on the light. That's the name of a new installation coming to the Art Windsor Essex Gallery from artist Julie Hall. It's up on the gallery's green roof terrace, featuring plants, native perennials like butterfly milkweed and prairie smoke, and artwork like garden sculptures and colorful flags. That terrace is also a certified monarch way station, important given the butterflies have just been added to the international list of threatened species. It's still a work in progress and is almost ready for visitors for sometime next week, but we get a sneak peek.
Hi, I'm Julie Hall. I'm an artist and horticulturist, and we just planted up this green roof terrace with some pollinator-friendly tallgrass prairie species. So I'll take you around and show you some of the plants. So the installation came from this idea of the green roof terrace that was previously installed. The terrace was pretty non-diverse. It had just a couple of species, primarily non-native, and the AWE thought it would be a good idea to replant it. Here, this is kind of the highlight of the garden at the moment, is butterfly milkweed. So this is a native plant that monarchs love. They lay their eggs and hatch their caterpillars on it, and also the nectar is really lovely for a bunch of different species. We've got some garden sculptures going on, so part of the installation is to kind of reference traditional domestic garden decor. So that's why I've created this family of symbols in 100% recycled acrylic format, so you can see those throughout the garden. It's a consideration of the responsibility and opportunity that landowners have to participate in and restore the local ecosystem or regional ecosystem. And then on all of the railings, there's going to be 5 big 4-foot flags that also contain these illustrations. So I used the new brand colors from the AWE. They recently went through a big rebranding. Obviously their name has changed. So their primary colors are orange and light pink, and that's what I used for the flag. And they're kind of a cropped version of a couple of the symbols that I illustrated for the garden. So there's, references of seeds, references of cut flowers, things that you can kind of do in the future with the garden and how the garden behaves. So they'll kind of wave hello from above and invite people to come up to the terrace. It's kind of an underused space from what I understand previously, so hopefully that will give people an idea that there is something to enjoy up here for them and for all species. Somebody recently asked me if my work or my business had a tagline, what would it be? And I said, psyched by nature.
And we're just about done, but before we go, some turkeys spotted out and about in Windsor, known as the Northwood turkeys, pecking on people's lawns, not the roof of an art gallery, but I don't think they're too picky. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks for watching and have a great night and a great weekend.